So I want to talk to you guys about idolatry. The root of idolatry is wrong thinking of who God is. And basically what that means is believing in a God of your own imagination rather than a God of revelation, the God who is who he is, rather than believing in a God who is who he is. We believe in a God who is what we want him to be. Many people have said, well, my God is just like the genie in Aladdin. And every time I need him, I just rub that lamp and he's right there. Or other people would be like, well, my God, he's cool with me because every time I smoke pot, bro, I see my God and he's just right there for me every time. I get high and God's like real to me. And if it wasn't for weed, then I don't know where I'd be as a Christian. And people say that. People believe their own God that they want him to be, rather than the God who he really is. They believe in God based on their own imagination. And when you do that, you're not worshiping the real God. You're worshiping yourself. You're worshiping your own ideas of who God is, rather than the true God. And you're basically worshiping an idol. You're idolizing what you want God to be, rather than who God really is. And that essentially was what the people in the Old Testament were doing when they were worshiping idols. They created this God that they wanted to worship, and they worshiped that. Everything that they wanted this God to be, if they wanted the God to have wings, if they wanted the God to have a beak, if they wanted the God to have a head of a lion, that's what it would have, and they would worship that. And in reality, or if they wanted to worship a golden calf, yeah, that's their God. But that's not who God really is. And God reveals himself throughout the entire Old Testament and says, do not have any other gods before me, and do not make any image of me. And that is also a mental image. I believe that it is also an idea. It comes in line with that. And where idolatry starts is, idolatry always starts in the mind. Many people don't realize that. It starts in your own creative ideas and what you believe him to be. And we have to realize that and not idolize God in our own thoughts, by our own thoughts that we have put in front of who the real God is. If you talk about like Jehovah's Witnesses, and they believe that Jesus is the Archangel Michael, and they do not believe that he is God, they're basically saying that, well, we just want to worship a God that we believe him to be. We don't want to worship a God that truly is who he really is. Or the Mormons, who believe that God has many, many wives, and each wife has a baby, and each baby becomes the spirit child of God, and that is who each human being is. That's not the God of the Bible. And we don't realize that. We just say, well, Mormons are just like Christians. Well, in reality, their beliefs are completely out of line with the Bible, and completely an idolizing idea of who they think God is, rather than who God truly is. And God really hates it when you misrepresent him. God really hates it when you say, oh, this is who my God is, when in reality you're saying a completely different person that is not God. And God says, don't idolize me. Don't idolize a false idea of who I am, a false representation of me. Know me for who I truly am, rather than saying, oh, this is what God says. And that is another thing too. I think a lot of people, they say, well, God told me this, or God told me that. In reality, God didn't say anything to them. So idolatry extends even as far as what you say God says, or oh, well, this is what my God has said. This is what my God said. So in reality, that is what we have to watch out for. Don't idolize God in any way, shape, or form. And by your beliefs, don't idolize God in any way. By your beliefs, by your ideas of what he says, by your revelations. Don't idolize him by falsely representing him, by saying his name in vain. And even saying his name in vain is a form of idolatry. Every time someone says, oh, Jesus, just saying that, in reality, they're misrepresenting God, and they're saying his name in vain. Of course, we have many people that are in evangelical and within Christianity that in reality are idolizing God rather than really worshiping the true God in so many different ways, and it's horrible, and it's something that I think needs to be addressed, and people don't recognize it. People overlook it because they themselves have a false representation of God. If you don't really know who God truly is, then you don't realize that when someone misrepresents him. Like someone says, well, let's have 24/7 prayer, like Mike Bickle, and you're thinking, oh, well, I guess God is saying that we have to do that. in reality, you don't realize that is not really at all what God is trying to say. And he's like, oh, okay, guys, I guess you guys are going to do that then, whatever. And they instead worship a God that's a God of their imagination, and that's not the true God. Instead of worshiping the God that is represented, and that who is the real God, the real true God, the one true God. Anyway, I hope you guys understand that, and I hope you guys realize that it is incredibly wrong to idolize the wrong God and misrepresent who God is by putting these idols in front of him. So don't do that. I hope you guys get that from this video. So that is what idolatry is. I hope you guys understand that. Don't idolize the wrong God. Thank you very much.